Okay, so now I want to talk about some of the possible errors that you might see, especially in the beginning. While you don't have a great command of the C# language, you'll get better in time, but for the most part, you can expect to generate errors. Even I'll still generate them in my own code. So let's just start with some simple errors. I'm going to go to my code. And, a typical thing a student might forget is to cap off the code statement with a semicolon. In C#, in case you didn't notice, all of the statements end in semicolons. So this is a typical, like a compiler error, and the compiler, the C# compiler, that's the software component that translates our C# language into machine language that the computer can actually run. The compiler right away notices something is wrong. Okay, you can see that the error is down here in the error window, but let's say I didn't catch that. My eye just glossed right over it. I go and try to run my program. I'm going to get this. There were build errors. Would you like to continue and run the last successful build? Always know at this juncture. If you have an error, you want to troubleshoot that error immediately. If I run the last successful build, that was the last good run I had, but now I've got an error in my program and I don't know it. So I'm definitely going to say no. Always no at this juncture. So we're going to say no, and here in the bottom pane you should have your error list, and it should list your errors. And if you want to go straight to that error, you can double click the error in the list down here. Double click right there. Okay, it took me right to that spot, and now I can add my semicolon. Okay. So that's a really straightforward error. I think another error that you might see, another like basic syntax error, is to forget to close your string in quotes. Okay, so for example here, right away the compiler knows that something is wrong, something is off. So I will go ahead and try to run that. We'll see what kind of, always no at this juncture. Let's see what kind of error we got. Okay, this is kind of a more cryptic error that doesn't really get to the bottom of what the problem is. It's not like the missing, and it's telling me I have a missing semicolon, which is not true. I don't have a missing semicolon in this program. But so you have to kind of take the error messages with a grain of salt. Double click the error message. It'll at least take you to the general location most of the time where the error is. And here you just kind of have to pick through it character by character, parse through that syntax, and see if you can find the problem. In this case, hopefully you'll notice that you forgot to close your quotes. Okay? Now those are compiler errors, meaning the compiler cannot make a translation. Okay, I've got a couple more errors I want to talk about in this video. Now this next one is something I want you to be careful with, but this is going to happen to you. I'm going to go to the design, the front end here, and it's not unusual to like double click on a control accidentally. Like let's say I double click on this label here. Every time you double click on a control in the front end, it generates a sandwich, okay, an event handler. And I'm like, oh, I don't want that. I didn't mean to do that. So it seems like a very logical thing to do to clean up your code and delete that unwanted sandwich, which is fine, okay? Now here's the thing. When I go to try to run this, I've got an error, okay? I'm going to say no. And oh, it didn't show that it's not listing it in the pane here. That's yeah, that's an issue. I'm gonna click on this where it says 0 of 3 messages. Yeah, I'm not fine. Oh, no, I'll go to the output window here. This is where it is. Okay, I'm in the output window. I wish it was an error in the error list, but I go to the output window, and this is the error that I'm seeing. It says Form 1 does not contain a definition for LBL message _ click. That was a sandwich that I deleted. Okay, let me see if I can double click this. Okay, yeah, it did take me to the place. Now, if you're like, what the heck is this? When you are designing a form, oh, and then this could happen to you too. Don't worry, we'll get it back. When you are designing a form, This code is being auto-generated behind the scenes. And when you double-click a button, not only is that event handler generated in your code that we've already seen, but there's a line behind the scenes that is added to wire up that sandwich to the button. And what's happening is when I deleted the sandwich, that line behind the scenes is still there. And this is the line I'm talking about, this, okay? When I double-clicked it in, where was I, in the output window? When I double-clicked it, it took me right there to the offending spot. Okay, now here's the thing. This reflects our form design, okay? You do not want to, like I call this the minefield, because you're in a danger zone here. You want to be extra careful. You're going to have to come in here from time to time. Like right now, I've got to get rid of this offending line, okay, which I'll do in just a moment. But you're just going to be very careful in here, just very surgically come in here and delete the problem and then get the heck out of here, because you're in danger. Like something's going to blow up if you delete the wrong thing. So you have to be extra careful with this auto-generated code. You want to be in here as little as possible. Okay, so when you go to that offending line, okay, just double click in if you get to that output window, find that offending line. It's going to take you right there. If you're uneasy, you can comment it out. Okay, now it's like it's not there, but it's still there in case you're uncertain, or you can just wipe it out. You just need to get that line out of there. Okay, so now I should be able to get, yeah, now my design has come back. But you can see, like if I comment something out, let me see if I comment out some of this just to show you. This is how you can comment out a whole chunk of code too. You see these buttons up here? These are really good. Comment out the whole chunk and then get it back. Okay, so you don't have to comment out one line at a time. Let me see if I comment out this whole chunk of code here. Oh no, the form's still loaded. Sometimes, you know, I was expecting to get that kind of we can't load your form message that we saw before. But that one was okay. All right. But anyway, be careful in here. And then when you're done, get the heck out of here. Close it up. This is the file, form1.designer.cs. That's the one that you want to spend as little time as possible in. And close it up. Okay, one more thing. So these are all compile errors that we've been talking about. I want to generate a runtime error. So for example, let's say I forgot the underscore in the file name for MVCC Autumn. The code is going to compile just fine, and we're going to run it, no problems. Okay, and everything looks great. Everything seems like it's running fine. Then I go to click a button, and boom, something goes wrong. This is what we would call a runtime error. Okay, the program compiled fine. I had a clean compile. But then when it comes to this line in the code where the picture name is wrong, it generates a runtime error while the program is running. Or more specifically in C#, we use the term exception. Our program has thrown an exception. And an exception is, you know, just what you think it means. It's like something is out of the ordinary. An exception has occurred. It's a runtime error when it comes down to it. And in this case, this is a very specific type of exception. And I mean, we'll see lots of exceptions this semester, and we'll look at better ways of handling them later. But this is what we call a file not found exception. I basically typed the wrong name for the file name. Okay, so that's a runtime error, or what we would call an exception. So in this case, I would have to go back to my code and, you know, compare it with the actual file name and make sure I have the correct file. So you're going to throw a lot of exceptions. I still throw them all the time. It's just, you know, part of C# and part of programming. So not a big deal. Lots and lots of errors, lots of exceptions. It's just part of learning, okay, part of coding. So, okay, I think in the next video I will talk about all of the different files generated in a C# application and how you are going to submit your work to me.